Hey, it's Josh Zaharia here. You can find me on The Boys and Ghostwriter. You're watching Pop Culture with Pat. Make sure to subscribe.
Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. So today we have a special guest on the show, Josh Zaharia. You might have seen him in a number of things. He was in The Boys, Superman and Lois. He's also in Apple TV Plus's latest season of Ghostwriter. Thank you for coming on the show today, Josh.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So to start things off, kind of, go back to the beginning for you. Was there a specific movie or TV show for you growing up that was really the thing that inspired you to want to be an actor in the first place?
Ooh, honestly, I think my whole life I've just been a fan of just how movies are made. I don't think there's one specific film that I've ever really been like, that's the movie that inspired me to get into acting. Because I think I've just been just a massive fan of so many different films and movies and TV shows that's really what I've just always loved storytelling, and I think it's really the love for storytelling that got me into acting and be able to portray all these amazing characters.
Okay, so it wasn't just like one thing in particular,
Yeah,
it kind of
yeah.
felt
Although I love like for example superhero movies, anything like that. I just love that stuff. Like for example, yeah,
awesome. Yeah, so now you've done, speaking of superheroes, you've done a couple projects in
yeah.
superhero genre so far with projects like The Boys and
Mhm.
Superman and Lois.
Yeah.
What is it about the genre that keeps you coming back?
I don't know. Like I said, I'm the biggest fan of super. I think it's just the action, the adventure. I also think superheroes inspire people, which I think is great. And I don't know. I'm a sucker for action movies, and for that type of genre. So I just working on those projects as well has just been just a dream come true. Just absolutely amazing.
And we've gotten so many of them over I mean, like
Yeah.
now it seems like there's so many different
Oh
kinds of
yeah.
projects too. Like back like when I was kind of like growing up in the 90s, you didn't have quite as many. Like there was still
Right.
like some of them around, but like today it's just way more. And I feel like there's just so many, like even though they're in like the all under the kind of the superhero umbrella, there's so many different things that these superhero films will like tackle in each one of these like movies or TV shows. So I'm sure it must be fun as an actor getting to like, even though you're, doing another superhero show or a TV, like, or a movie, that you get to do different things in each one of those.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting. There's just such a big variety when it comes to superhero projects. Like you have projects like The Boys, for example, which have a lot of commentary on our real world and on social media and celebrities, while also using the superheroes as a way to express that. But you also have these like big action, like for example, like the Avengers. You have other things like Umbrella Academy. I'm just like, there's just such a massive variety of superhero projects and superhero media in this day and age.
Oh yeah, it's all
Mhm.
over the place, and hey, I'm a big fan of that stuff. So I
Me
will.
too. Me too.
So glad that we're in kind of like the golden
Yeah.
age for those kind of things. So speaking of The Boys, you played the younger version of Butcher. What
Yeah.
was it like working with Carl Urban, and
Mhm.
how did he help you bring that character to life?
I mean, Carl was great to have him on set was incredible because really the flashbacks for the Boys season 3 were done a little differently. Basically, there's this superhero called Mindstorm who sends Butcher into his inner consciousness to relive some of his darkest memories. And basically, Butcher is a hopeless observer of the past events that have happened to him, right? And so I think it was really interesting just to have him there. And yes, absolutely. He helped me. He was like, I think Butcher would say it like this. It was really getting into that Butcher mindset because we really are exploring um, Butcher before Becca, before Homelander, and really seeing his relationship with his brother Lenny and his relationship with his father. And I think that was really interesting. And I know fans have really wanted to see Butcher's backstory ever since we were introduced to him back in season 1. And I'm just incredibly humbled to be a part of that and to bring fans what they've always wanted to see.
And it must have been cool too, just where Carl, I mean,
Mhm.
he's been doing this for a little while now.
Yeah.
He's done so many different types of projects, so it must have been cool for you just to kind of get to pick his brain on different things like as well,
Mm.
for sure.
No, yeah, he was incredible. It was actually really funny because I had just finished the second season of The Boys the night before going into shooting. So when the day came where I went to go film, and then Carl walks in, I swear I was like, "Wait, hold on!" Like it was so weird because I had just finished The Boys last night, right? And now I was seeing Butcher himself walk into the room, right? So it was really weird, but yeah, it was great to work with Carl.
That must have been a little surreal for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've played, yeah, you played beloved characters, such as Butcher, but you've also played teenage Clark Kent.
Mhm.
Are there any other superheroes or even super villains that you would maybe want to tackle in the future?
Absolutely. I mean, I would love to be a part of the Young Avengers if that's something that Marvel's interested in setting up in the future. The Teen Titans as well. That's something I would love to be a part of. Just working for Marvel and DC and being their superheroes. That's a big dream of mine.
I think with the Avengers, I definitely, it at least seems like
Yeah,
it's something that they're
yeah. It seems like that's something that they're hinting towards. So yeah, I'd love to be part of that.
that would be fun. And
Mhm.
jumping to one of your other projects, one of your more recent projects too,
Yep.
you played, and I correct me if I'm saying his name wrong, but it's Leo in Apple TV's
Yeah.
Ghostwriter.
Yes. Yeah. Leo el Magnifico.
What was it about, this project and character that attracted you to the role?
Mhm.
Just because it's so different compared to, what you've done compared to like some of the other like, like superhero shows and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think what I found that was really interesting about Leo was, he really has this really incredible arc throughout the show. And, when we first meet him, just a little backstory, he's this book character or this famous magician from the book by Pablo Cartaya. And basically, all of a sudden, he's sucked out of the book and transported into the real world to help solve a mystery. And like I said, he goes through this really interesting, deep arc where basically when we first meet him, he's this egotistical, extravagant magician who we think only thinks about himself. But then throughout the show, we start to almost pull back the curtain and sort of realize why he is the way he is, what he did to get to where he is, and the sacrifices he made, and he may have regrets in his life, and were those sacrifices really worth it? He got everything he ever wished for, but at what cost? And I think those are some really interesting themes that I was really excited to explore.
Yeah, it's always nice to, I'm sure as like an actor to have a character
Yeah,
that is not just, one note and it's not just like
exactly.
about like one thing. And like you said,
Yeah.
they have multiple layers and you get to explore those. So I'm sure, that's always fun, for you too.
Yes, it was incredible, and I worked really closely with our director Luke Matheny and the author of the book Pablo Cartaya to really be able to like flesh out Leo and to see what makes him tick.
Now, and you've had projects. So in the superhero genre, we've talked about, you've done some in horror, you've done some family stuff. So you've really
Yeah,
kind of been like all over the map, which is
yeah.
really exciting. Is there any particular genre or, like movie franchise or anything that you would like to be a part of at some point in your career?
I'd love to be in a fantasy project, where we because that's something I haven't done yet. And I think it would be really cool to almost focus on those medieval sort of times. That's something I haven't done yet, so I think I'd find that really interesting to play because
Yeah.
that's something I haven't done yet, and I find that exciting.
Yeah, no, I mean that sounds like it would definitely be
Yeah,
really,
something cool, something different. Yeah.
yeah. Like I mean, like would you throw in just a couple things, not necessarily like medieval, but like Lord of the Rings or like
Oh yeah.
Game of Thrones, like something like that?
Something like that. I feel like that would be really cool to be a part of. Yeah, yeah, something like that, something medieval, or just like something that has its fantasy elements, because I'm also a big fan of literature. So, for example, when I was younger, I'd read, for example, like the Percy Jackson books, Land of Stories, books like that really expand your imagination when it came to that fantasy element. So, something like that sort of revolves around or has this fantastical element to it. I feel like I'd love to be a part of something like that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
And kind of tying into that a little bit. So I'd read that you really like writing and
Yeah.
creating stories. So have you thought about writing or directing any projects in the future as far as your career goes?
100%. Yeah. So that's definitely something I want to do in the next 5 to 10 years. I would love to really delve into script writing and directing because I love working in front of the camera, but I would also like to work behind the camera. Like I said, I love to tell stories and to be able to create stories and direct those stories. That's a big dream of mine for sure.
And so, kind of to wrap things up for you a little bit, introspective kind of like question here. So, 2022, we're in November. We're getting towards the end of the year, so
Yeah.
it'll be wrapping up soon. What's something that you've either learned about like yourself, like over this year, or something that you're just most proud of that you've accomplished, like over the past year?
Well, that's a really good question. I think this year I've learned, I think this year I've learned a lot because it's one of those years where I think it's just never give up. You know, um, this industry with the acting industry, right? I mean, we get so many. You audition and you audition, you keep going and you keep going, and if and at the end, it's inevitable that you're going to get some no's and you're going to get some yeses, right? And
Yep.
so at the end of the day, you just have to keep moving forward, keep pushing forward. I might be paraphrasing, but Rocky Balboa
There
once
you go.
said, "It doesn't matter how hard you get hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward." Um, I'm a sucker for the Rocky franchise as well. So and
Hey,
all those movies, So yeah, I think it's just never give up. And if you're really passionate about something, you have to go for it.
yeah. No, and I mean, so far in your career, like I said, you've gotten a chance to kind of tackle a number of different types of projects. So I mean, that's really exciting. Like not necessarily everyone
Thank
doesn't
you.
necessarily get the chance to do that. So I mean, so far in your career, you've gotten to do some really cool things, and I'm excited to see what else like the future holds for you for sure.
Very well, thank you so much, Pat.
Yeah, no problem. And just to kind of wrap things up too, is there anything else that you'd want to say to like the fans out there? I don't know if there's like any projects that you are able to speak on because I know how that kind of is, but anything you want to say to the fans out there?
Yeah, well, in terms of projects, I have only one project that I can really talk about at this stage, which is Grendel. It's another superhero project. It's based off of the acclaimed comic book.
Oh,
And this is the live action adaptation, and I really can't wait for fans to check it out. It's about this fencer who loses his love, and he seeks revenge. But then so he kind of delves into the criminal underworld, and then he realizes, hey, why beat him when I can join him? And I think that's a really cool concept, and I can't wait for fans to check it out.
yeah, that's something I say I'm not familiar with it myself, so that's
Yeah,
something that I'll have to check into like myself before we get to see. So it's a movie or is it a show?
it's a show. It's a
No.
show. Yeah, it's a TV
Okay.
show.
All right, awesome. So yeah, I'll definitely have to check out,
Yeah,
that
for
for
sure.
sure. So again, and as far as like social media goes, just where fans can like catch you. I know you're on Instagram, right? Are you anywhere else as far as like social media goes?
Right now, you can find me on Instagram, Josh_Zaharia, and yeah, go check me out if you wanna keep up to date with all the things I'm in and what I'm doing.
Uh,
Yeah,
well, hey, thank you again so much, Josh, for taking time out of your schedule. I know you're
no,
super
thank
busy.
you.
You got a lot going on, so thank you for coming on and just talking a little bit about some of your projects. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you so much, Pat. Hey, it's Josh Zaharia here. You can find me on The Boys and Ghostwriter. You're watching Pop Culture with Pat. Make sure to subscribe.